Welcome to Truck Tech. I'm Thomas Wasson, and today we're going to be talking about some really cool technology, and it's from the folks at Range Energy. And this is really, really cool. I got to see them at ACT Expo, and it's electrification in trucking, but how they're set up, it's not as you would traditionally expect. There's a lot of releases right now on various powertrains. This one's putting the trailer to work for you, and I'm super excited to be joined with the founder and CEO of Range Energy, Ali Javidan. And Ali, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Before we dive in, tell us your background.
Yeah, so nice to meet you. Let's see, I am about 27 years in automotive industry. The last 17 or so years have been focused on electric vehicle development. I was at Tesla relatively early on. I led the vehicle prototyping team at Tesla through the launch of Model S and a bunch of other really fun projects that we worked on. After that, I went to Google, worked on a couple of initiatives there. And then more recently, I was at Zoox working on the robo taxi project. And in fact, you said that I was the founder and CEO. Most recently, I just hired a new CEO to come in who I met at Zoox, who was the CFO of Zoox while I was working there. He's a really, really impressive guy named John Foster. I'm really focused now as the CTO on the technology, on the product, on bringing, continuing to bring safety and innovation and efficiency to the products that we're launching. While John, who is an incredibly seasoned business operator, is helping grow and scale the business to make sure that we have a product and a business model that makes sense to the fleets and to all of our partners.
And let's dive into that technology aspect. I know how Range came about. Tell us about what Range does and how it works, because it's a really, really cool story. I love the application of it.
Yeah. This was a wacky idea that was kicked around in the very, very early days at Tesla, and we were all, really focused on shipping Roadster and then Model S and all the other vehicles. That was just one of those ideas that just kind of fell to the uh, cutting room floor, I guess they say. In about 2021, I wanted to kind of see what my next move was, and I knew at that time, especially given all of the fallout from the pandemic, that commercial trucking and commercial transportation in general was always going to be or was going to continue to be a decarbonization challenge. The technologies at that time that were being presented, I saw, were a lot of great ideas, but potentially not good business ideas and not something that could be sustained for a long time. And so I kind of made it my mission in 2021 to really think deeply about the commercial transportation industry, everything from rail and sea and air to, of course, the stuff that I know best, which is on the road. And I pretty quickly noticed that the trailers were all being ignored. A lot of technology is being thrown at the primary mover, whether it's autonomy, electrification, fill in the blank. There's a lot of really, good and not so good technologies that are being tried and attempted, and at the end of the day, they're all there to move this heavy box around. And, I've been driving trucks and trailers since I was 14 years old, just because of the nature of how I grew up and where I grew up. And I knew that trailers have always been a safety problem, and they're cumbersome and clumsy, whether you're backing a boat down a boat ramp or trying to line up a bunch of containers. It's the same challenge, just scale different ways. And so how could I develop a piece of technology to offset those challenges and at the same time really help with that burden of the heavy box? And so that was kind of the spark of the idea, and it was really comes down to, let's add a drive motor and a battery pack to all the trailers. We could put a smaller battery pack, which allows everything to be a lot cheaper and make more sense on the financials, and we actually have payback periods that make sense. And the e-axle is not only there to help propel the trailer or offset the weight of the box, but it's also there in regen. So we can also use that intelligently. When the tractor is slowing down, we actually turn the motor backwards. We kind of turn it into a generator in the trailer, and that puts energy back into the system and slows the system down. So if we were able to do this successfully and intelligently, then we have a new trailer solution that should technically work behind any tractor. And that was the aha moment, was that, in 2021, we had these great ideas about building electric trailers, and we had a lot of fun doing a bunch of stuff. And then kind of, pretty quickly, I started in 2021. First hire was in 2022. And then in 2023, we realized the impact that this could have on the commercial trucking industry. And sorry, go ahead.
That's why I was the wildest part is you brought up a really great point, which everyone forgets about the trailer. And I got to I got to drive on a test track. So my experiences with an 18 wheeler, the rig, the tractor and trailer was on a closed course. I don't have a CDL, but one of the things they told me was one of the drivers next to me said the trailer kind of drives you. He's like, you think that you drive the
Yeah,
trailer, but it's really the trailer that has a say so. And so y'all are taking that and flipping this on its head, where the trailer can also help drive you.
that's right. And you have to remember that I have a pretty decent background in industrial robotics while I was at Google. And one of the things that I learned there was this kind of concept of collaborative robotics. And, there's this big wave of collaborative robots kind of making their way through all of the factories that build the things that we use every single day. And these are really, really high performance industrial robots, but with more advanced sensing so that they can interact with humans better. And that's essentially, not to overcomplicate things, but that's essentially what we're building here. Is that the cool piece about this is that I know that, eventually we're going to have to change how our tractors work, whether that is electric or hydrogen or whatever the future is. I'm not going to attempt to predict that. I obviously have my desires and the way that I think things could or should go, but I'm not going to try to dictate that or force those opinions on anybody. What I want to do is develop a technology that'll work on your fleet, whether your fleet is in the middle of Texas operating a bunch of really cool old long hood Peterbilts, or if it's in Southern California driving a bunch of Cascadias. I want this technology to work ubiquitously across. Brand new Freightliner diesel Cascadia, sure, we'll get you 14, 15, even 18 miles per gallon in some routes. You have an old Peterbilt, no problem. We'll double the fuel economy. But if you also bought a brand new Cascadia, we'll get you your 260, 280, or even 300 miles of range out of that Cascadia when you hook up to one of our trailers. And that's where that's what we've been really fighting for, is to respect the industry where they stand today and where they work today and how they work, but also give the vehicle, pardon the pun, but give the vehicle for them to then further their decarbonization efforts without making major disruptions. We charge at the loading dock, which is great. We charge while you're parked, because you have to park the thing to load it on the boxes to load and unload them anyways. And so we've kind of worked our way to be as operationally transparent as possible.
And talking about how it works, I mean, it's a really fascinating math problem, I can imagine, because if I'm driving and I'm accelerating in a tractor, when do I want the juice to kick in from the trailer? Is it when I first start, or is it when I'm kind of at cruising speed? Is there a sweet spot when you're trying to tackle that problem to get the best bang for your buck and the not only emissions reduction but better fuel economy?
If we think about just diesel tractors for a moment, and this kind of analog works across whether you're in CNG, hydrogen, electric, doesn't matter, space fuel. But this, if you think about a diesel tractor, what we do is we don't just kind of blindly help. We have an advanced sensing system that is able to essentially measure two things, or sense two things. Number one is driver intention. We want to know, okay, is the driver accelerating? Are they turning? Are they going through an intersection, in between shifts on a semi-automated gearbox, in between shifts on a manual gearbox, going up a hill, going down a hill? Is it snowy? Is it dry out? There's a bunch of these conditions that we work with our sensor system to understand, and that's kind of our environmental conditions. And then the second piece of this is we want to also understand in real time what the powertrain load is on the primary mover. So if you have a diesel engine and you're foot to the floor accelerating up a hill, and your semi-auto gearbox is having a hard time because you have a 60,000 pound load in the trailer, well, we actually take that long shift that would be, dump a bunch of raw unburned fuel and wait a second and a half to shift and going up a hill, and it's scary and you're holding up traffic. We actually help fill torque in between those moments and we make the tractor feel like it has a constant surge of energy, but you never feel like anything is ever pushing you. That's super, super critical. It's always there, like the most well-trained dog possible. Imagine you have a Great Dane next to you, pardon the trailer pun, but you have a Great Dane next to you that's very well trained, and the confidence that you have to know that that dog is there no matter what you're doing and wherever you're going, it's there under your command. Well, that's not how trailers work today. Trailers work like one of those Great Danes kind of chasing squirrels all over the place at a, 2-year-old puppy kind of a thing. And so it's we're flipping the script. And exactly what you said earlier is that yes, trailers drive you. You are giving suggestions to that trailer, and the best drivers in the world are able to maneuver these trailers and be safe with these trailers. And fortunately, we have a great training program in our CDL program, and how we teach our fleet drivers. But at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do with physics. And if we can get this trailer to feel intuitively like it's following your commands, then the driver experience is better. And that kind of ties back to this empathy thing that we have going on, where I've been driving for a long time. Everybody on my team drives either a boat trailer or RV or something on a regular basis. And we know how anxiety inducing the a trailer drive can be, even if you are the most experienced driver. And so we give you that kind of feeling that you have a loaded trailer and everything is kind of sure-footed, but also you have maneuverability, the acceleration, the braking performance, and the stability of a bobtail tractor, where you feel like there's nothing behind you, but you also know that it's always putting you as the driver in the best possible scenario.
And I'm assuming from the braking thing, it's almost like smart brakes as well, where if you need to make a sudden stop, you have that regenerative braking, you have additional braking systems that it can really help out. Because that was one of the big things that they taught us when I managed fleets was that it can take like a football field. It can take a long way to stop if
That's
you
right.
suddenly have to stop.
Yeah, I encourage you to go onto our YouTube channel and have a look at our winter test video that we just released. We did a winter test video, and one of the images that we showed was the increase in braking performance that the e-axle gives to the trailer, and or our system gives to the trailer through the e-axle specifically. That e-axle, along with our intelligent sensing system and the controls that we've embedded through our system, is able to react to brake commands orders of magnitude faster than the traditional hydraulic ABS system is able to do. And we have an illustration. It's not even an illustration. It's a real video of our tractor and trailer stopping on a solid sheet of ice. We have an overhead drone shot, and it's this solid sheet of ice where we've turned ABS off and we did a full threshold brake. Then we turned ABS on and we did a full threshold brake, and we saved about 15 or so, maybe 20 feet of stopping distance. And then we turned our system on, which is able to, again, react much, much faster than ABS. And we saved almost an entire 53-foot trailer length in braking distance. That's 3 full-size SUVs that we were able to save uh, in braking distance because of the reactivity of our sensing system and how we control that e-axle. That also goes for jackknifing, stability control, all of that stuff as well. And we're really able to do a lot of really advanced safety work with our system and our sensors.
And when we're looking at that, one of the things I'm curious is, you've got your airlines when you're plugging in your trailer. Does it require any additional plugs? A lot of the technology nowadays, they got to get in the bus or they got to get in the little control area. Or is this platform able to detect it without having to get the extra hassle of finding that special plug-in somewhere?
Yeah, zero requirements from the tractor. We take your standard air and light connections, and that's it. We don't need anything special. We don't need any new data connections. We are a fully standalone system. In fact, we have a demo trailer that if you came to Mountain View, we have a fun gooseneck trailer. You grab the kingpin, we turn the system on, and you can actually walk this 5,000-pound trailer around the yard like it's on an air hockey table. It's really, really cool. And that works all the way up to a 65,000-pound, 53-foot reefer.
Can that be in the marketing thing? Is have you walked your trailer lately? Because you can do it with ours.
That's
I would
so
be.
good.
You gotta get me a video. Like, have you? Are
All right. I think that video is also on our YouTube channel, but we need to title it better. So I'm gonna have you watch your trailer lately.
yeah,
When we do
taking it
that,
for a
when we do
walk?
a 53-foot demo, when we do a demo with a 53-foot, we'll call you out to do the demo.
I will walk the trailer, and if it's a Great Dane, that'd be even funnier. And they're totally missing out.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. 100%. You
Well,
just
let's.
you just nailed it on the head. I love it.
I'm just seeing the opportunity. There's the tables right here. The content's just sitting on the table.
Yeah. No, it's good.
I'm curious about the types of trailers. So one of the things was Reefer. We've got this thing with Thermo King. Is there kind of a concentration? Is it now in the dry van? Is it in the Reefer space? Where are we looking at these
Yeah.
kinds of deployments?
As you can imagine, there's a huge application space for this. Everything from small jet ski trailers all the way up to the trailers that they use to move the space shuttle around. There's a lot of and freight. In fact, there's a company that's doing something similar in freight. We are focused right now on Class 8, and most more specifically, we're focused on regional routes with refrigerated trailers. And the reason that this makes sense is because of that Thermo King tie, as a result, we have this Thermo King ties that we can offset the diesel that's consumed by the reefer as well. So not only is this system that we built able to manage the power of the drive axle, but it's also able to manage the power of any ancillary component, lift gates, cameras, lights, and most importantly, refrigeration units. So we've been able to utilize our power system to supply not only the power that those refrigeration units need, but our e-axle is the generator now that continues to resupply power. So if we do a route on a dry van, let's say we do a 250-mile route on a full charge, that's no problem. And we come back and we can actually get closer to 300 miles with regen. And there's a bunch of really fun math that happens there that we model with each customer. But if we think about a standard, let's say 200-mile route, the regen alone on a reefer trailer, refrigerated trailer, the regen energy we capture alone is enough to power that trailer because we're doing it in a very intelligent way. We're not. This is super important nuance compared to some of the other competitors that have been out there in the past. We do not add load to the trailer. We do not. Well, I mean, we add weight. There's a 5,500 or 6,000 pound weight capacity, which is it's not nothing, but it's not a huge 20,000 pound hit. But as the trailer is rolling, it is freewheeling and it's not dragging at all. And so the only time we turn that e-axle on is when the tractor is slowing down or attempting to slow down. So it's a very intelligent system and it's only recapturing regen energy. It's not creating a drag on the system ever.
That's cool. So it's turning into, for like a dry van, I can use the e-axle to help give me the juice. But then at the same time, the reefers have basically, I swear I talked to a reefer driver. It wasn't like a 300 gallon, but he had a giant reefer tank that he had to fill up
Yeah.
just the same. So then it goes into using all the regen. It can power it for an entire shift. So that's one of the goals is if I do a 300-mile run, point to point, I do my delivery, I got enough juice to power the reefer. And then when I'm on my break, I just charge it up, get it charged. But you said with the regenerative ability, it's like you can keep making the juice as you're going. So I can kind of
That's right.
get more out of it.
That's right. You end up capturing almost as much energy as you need for that reefer and just regen on a standard daily route, which is insane. And you can only do that when you're really intelligently capturing regen. You can't just kind of drag this thing around town and say, hey, look, the reefer is running on EV while you're getting 4 miles per gallon on the tractor. We're doing all of this and still getting 10 or 12 miles per gallon on the tractor. So this is like, game changing stuff.
I'm thinking of the fuel surcharges and how much extra money I'm making because they're paying me for fuel, but then I'm saving all of that fuel with the electricity. When we're looking at that, I'm kind of curious. The wheels the wheels are connecting right now, just because of the applications. Is it possible that eventually it can give juice for like a APU? That was another problem I had. Trucks are idling. You have an APU. It can be diesel or gasoline or fuel source. Is that eventually, I guess, when battery technology gets there, it can give juice back and power my little toaster oven? Or is the draw still, I guess, kind of big in terms of, the tractor
The
itself?
battery technology is there and the power system technology is there now. We are we are scaled really, really high on our power system because we know that folks are going to be using multi-temp reefers with lights, with cameras, multiple lift gates at the same time, power landing gear, security systems. All of that stuff needs to be running at once. And this is not an industry that's going to take to, oh, we have a bug or here's a recall or, the stuff that you and I would deal with on our passenger vehicles doesn't fly here. So we have built plenty of headroom in our power system to eventually even run these trailers as more than just reefers or regular, uh, transport systems. These things can absolutely be scaled to power APUs, power the entire systems. And in fact, there are defense applications here that go way beyond that you can imagine could be used here as well.
I'm waiting for my mobile. I can imagine you have the trailers and you have the mobile ones in there for defense if you don't have access to locations in a combat zone, and you can just keep chugging along, getting your juice back, and then that's cool. No, I'm curious with the weight. I'm assuming the reefer has an advantage because usually when I did ops, it was like 42.5. Reefers are heavier. You got to deal with the engine on the front anyway, so you can't really
Yep.
haul as much. But theoretically, you're reducing the weight because you don't have to deal with this costly engine that you can't use in your own vehicle. You're powering it directly from it and it's using it in more efficient, lighter weight. So offsets.
Eventually, yes. I think we're not quite there yet. The Thermo Kings of the world and the customers, we all need to kind of gain confidence with each other that we can get off of the diesel engines because obviously, it's fun to say, oh, we don't want to lose this load of ice cream or something. But what if it's vaccines, or what if it's something far more critical than some, a box of ice cream? Not to downplay the importance of a box of It's It ice creams or something like that, right? We don't want to break the cold chain, but as you know, that like as soon as that box dips below a certain temperature, then the entire box is done. And we cannot take any chances there. And so right now, what we're doing is we're working with Thermo King and all of our mutual customers. We provide that diesel engine as a backup, and then eventually we will, like you said, pull the diesel engines out and build a lighter weight unit that's more integrated. And obviously we are very weight obsessed. And a lot of our fleets are finding very creative ways to work with the weight impact that we add because the efficiency that we add is so high. We're not talking, 3 to 5% like air skirts or tail wings or something like that. We're talking about, 30, 40, 50, in some cases 70% increase in fuel economy. And so these are huge numbers.
And looking ahead with Thermo King, I'm assuming that's kind of the future where you can eventually, with these collaborations and partnerships, they'll just roll off the line, have that designate. That's one of the big goals was having the partnerships with an OEM and in this case, an OEM trailer maker, because then once it's tested and it's battle ready, you're able to start getting these guys off the line once it's technically, I guess, roadworthy. I mean, they're already work now,
Yeah.
but I guess mass produced.
Yeah.
They yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, we are not building the boxes. We're not, reinventing things that a lot of great trailer OEMs are doing. We are building simply the electrification kit, which is the e-axle with all of its ancillary components and the energy module, which includes the battery pack and the power systems, and that just gets clipped in, literally bolted in underneath the trailer. And so we do have relationships with all of the different trailer OEMs, but we've really built our business model to essentially work on anybody's trailer, in the same way that a TK unit can be bolted onto anybody's reefer pretty much. Our system can pretty much be bolted onto anybody's reefer trailer as well.
Well, it's super exciting stuff, and we're running low on time. But Ollie, really appreciate you
Yeah.
spending the time and going into the detail. This is really cool stuff, and I don't think a lot of folks have thought about. Everyone's focused on the front; they're sleeping on the box. The box is getting smarter. If folks want to learn more
Yeah.
about Range Energy, get in touch, collaborate. What's the best way to get more info?
I think the best way is our website, range.energy, not .com, but range.energy. We have all the social medias and we have a small YouTube page, and things are picking up on our marketing and media side. But yeah, I would start with the webpage.
I'm looking forward to it. You'll have to send me when you walk the trailer and you have it in there, taking the trailer for a walk, pro bono.
Well, hopefully we'll have you out when we do that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your
All right.
time. We're definitely going to have to catch up again soon.
Yeah, for sure. Good to talk to you.
That's going to be a wrap for this episode. But if you're just joining us, this will be on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify, wherever you can find your podcasts. While you're at it, sign up for the Truck Tech newsletter. It goes out every Friday morning. You don't want to miss it. Also, check out the folks at Range Energy. Super, super exciting stuff. That's going to be a wrap for this episode. But don't worry, folks. I'll catch you again next week.